Happy ORKTOBER, everyone, and welcome to Crimson Moon's first ever Speedfreaks Battlereport.
The two bands of freaks that'll be crashing, burning, and shooting each other on the scrap field today are the Rukkatrukk Squigbuggy, flanked by 3 warbikers, and the Shokkjump Dragsta, followed by another 3 warbikers.
To keep things simple, no custom jobs or orc clans will be used for this battle. Orcs are too dumb to keep track of any of that nonsense, and so are we apparently. The mission is simple. Crump everything. Whoever crumps the most gets, and didn't get crumped themselves, wins.
Let's stop wasting time. We all know we're just here to see one of these vehicles blow up.
In order to determine priority, the two players segregate their dice into cunning dice, speeding dice, and shooting dice. Cunning allows them to roll for priority. Speeding lets them move. And shooting, well, I think you can figure it out. Both speed bosses spent equal amount of dice into moving and shooting, and so they roll off with a D8.
The Rukkatrukkers take the first turn, starting with the pink hog. He rolls 2 speeding dice. The thunderbolts are worth 2, the shields and scopes are worth 1, and the explosion is nothing.
Lucky Git got 3.
In order to move, he chooses from 3 types of gubbins: regular, special, and snazzy. He very boldly uses 3 special gubbins, which means he has to roll for a driving test.
For each special, he adds +1 to his roll. His driving skill is an 8, so he must roll lower than that. And he fails! And so he spins to the bottom right.
Now he's within 2 of that rubble, which means he has to roll a die to see whether or not he gets attacked by squigs.
Don't roll a miss. Oof. Barely dodged that one. The warbiker with the spear is moving twice.
He uses a special and a regular gubbin. He rolls and succeeds the driving test.
Another squig hog moves. 3 again? These things must be hungry for warbiker flesh. He succeeds his driving test, but really, who cares? How about the real biker boy? He rolls... No!
The final hog moves. He's gonna have to get something good in order to dodge that rubble pile. Who the hell set up this guy?
He gets 1, and so he drifts out of that predicament. Oh, and he succeeds the driving test.
The final warbiker moves.
Oh, come on! He had 2 speeding dice. What are the chances?
Well, each dice has 1 miss each, and he rolled 2 dice, and so the approximate chance of you rolling 2 misses are...
Don't want to hear it. The wagons are going to move, starting with the Rukkatrukk. It moves twice.
It drifts, using 2 special gubbins, and is within 2 of a scrap pile. He doesn't disturb the squigs and succeeds the driving test. Hooray.
The Shokkjump moves 3 times. Unfortunately, the scrap is in the way, so he only moves twice. He also passes his test.
We move to the shooting phase. Now, no orc ever misses out on an opportunity to shoot if he has, let's call it, a less than perfect shot on a target. So all orcs who can shoot must shoot.
Starting with the Rukkatrukk, it gets to fire 3 times. 1 die goes into the heavy squig launcher, and 2 go into the regular squig launcher. That extra die gives the squig launcher a reroll.
4 dice. He gets 2 hits, and the reroll gives him 1 more.
The biker fails to save.
In Speedfreaks, each damage is a draw from the damage deck. Some cards nerf your orc, others are just direct damage.
He drew 6 cards. He only has 2 wounds, and he gets... Crunch, driver wounded, burning, another burning, and 2 more crunches.
I hope you didn't pause the screen to read those cards. If you did, then you'll be upset to know that we're actually going to be reading them later on when an orc lives to feel their effects.
The Rukkatrukk then shoots the Dragsta with the squig launcher. He gets 2 hits, and the Dragsta saves. The Dragsta shoots the pink hog, 2 dice into both guns. He got 1 hit, and the custom shock rifle decreases the defense dice by 1.
Ooh, lucky save.
For the rocket launcher, he rolls 2 dice and gets the exact same thing as the shock rifle. Thankfully, he gets a reroll and gets an extra hit.
And oh, look at that, no saves.
He draws 4 times and gets 2 burners and 2 smash guns. Because he's the boss, he gets 3 wounds instead of 2.
At the beginning of every round, he rolls a d8. On a 1 to 4, the fire is put out, but if he fails, he rolls another damage card. Also, he's at +1 to his rolls for driving tests.
As for smash guns, the opponent selects one of the orc's guns to be smashed, and halves that weapon's range. Although the bike only has 1 gun and the card doesn't stack, so it's just at half range and he has 2 damage on him.
Now we move to turn 2. Hey, how long does this go on for? 5? Wait. 5? 5? What?!
The hog boss rolls for burning and fails both. What a shame.
The first card gives him a damage, and so he burns to death.
For the planning phase, the 2 players do the exact same thing as turn 1, but this time the Dragsta team goes first. Starting with the biker boss, he gets 3 gubbins. Thank Gord, he's actually moving this turn.
He only uses 2 of those gubbins and succeeds the driving test. What is it with these bikers and only moving 2 instead of 3?
The Squighog moves twice, and those are 2 special, so he rolls the driving test and... Did they forget the... Yeah, they did.
This warbiker moves twice. Oh, he better not drive into that rubble. He fails his test, and he spins exactly 90 degrees. And now he's out of 2 inches from that junk, so he doesn't awaken the squigs.
The last hog moves twice. Looks like he's got his sights on the Dragsta. He better hope nothing wacky and uncharacteristic happens. Oh no! Something wacky and uncharacteristic happened! The Dragsta rolled 2 thunderbolts, which allows it to teleport.
The Rukkatrukk now moves twice, and in the middle of its movement, it drops a squig mine. If anyone gets within 3 inches of that little guy, it's gonna explode. Oh, and he also passes driving test.
Now we move on to shooting. Starting with the Shokkjump, each gun gets 1 die. He misses both shots with the shock rifle. Please, rocket launcher. Please make up that roll. Okay, and then a reroll. Yes, 2 hits.
No saves. He draws 4 cards and gets a burnin', smash gun, and 2 wounds on the driver. The driver wounded cards mean he can't use any snazzy gubbins and is at +1 to his driving tests.
The Rukkatrukk now shoots all of its guns at the Dragsta. They got 2 hits and the Dragsta saved. The Squig Launcher gets a reroll and got a total of 1 weedy hit. I don't think anyone's surprised the Dragsta saved.
Thanks to the riding shotgun rule, the Rukkatrukk can actually throw a stick squig at that Shokkjump. 2 hits and 2 saves.
The Boss Knob shoots the Little Hog. 2 hits and 2 saves.
The Little Hog shoots back. 2 hits. Finally, no saves.
The boss draws 2 crunches.
The final biker shoots. 1 hit and 1 save. It's an unusual roll, but it's mostly the same.
The Dragsta team actually have a cunning die this time. As long as they don't roll a miss, they take the first turn. Of course.
To add insult to injury, the Rukkatrukk team won the roll-off.
Well, let's not forget about the biker who's burning. And they forgot about the biker who's burning.
The first Squighog doesn't move. Ugh, this whole turn is just a series of failures.
The Dragsta's gonna need some lightning here. Oh, he missed it by 1. Well, to make up for that failure, he rammed straight into the Squigbuggy.
For ramming, both players roll 3 dice, looking for hits, and they get no save. The Dragsta got 2 hits, and the buggy got 3.
The Dragsta got, what's that crunching noise? Steering wheel's coming off! And a crunch. The crunching noise is 1 damage, and the Dragsta must reroll all lightning symbols, making it even harder to teleport. As for the steering wheel coming off, if it uses multiple gubbins, its opponent can place the subsequent gubbins wherever he desires.
As for the Rukkatrukk, it got a crunch, and the Zoggin tie is busted, which means at the start of each round it rolls a die. If it rolls a shield, it spins 45 degrees to the left, and a hit, he spins 45 degrees to the right. Oh, and also he suffers a damage from that. The other Squighog rams into the Shokkjump, and since it's from the side, the Shokkjump rolls 1 dice, and the Squighog rolls 2.
Both models take wounds. Shokkjump takes a crunch, and the Squighog somehow lights on fire. Now the other warbiker rams into the Squigbuggy. Oh, and no, he doesn't spin out.
The bike takes a damage, but the Squigbuggy takes nothing.
The bike draws Grots in the mechanism, which means he suffers a damage if he has a custom job. But since we aren't using custom jobs, his card is discarded.
The Rukkatrukk now has to move. There really isn't anywhere to go aside from back onto his Squig mine, so he's hoping for a miss. Phew, that was close.
The biker boss rams into the Squighog. No hits for the Squig, and the biker got 2.
And the Squig gets crumped.
For shooting, the Rukkatrukk unloads into the Shokkjump. 2 dice into the super heavy lancha, and 2 into the regular Squig lancha. And he also gets to throw a stick Squig.
4 dice, 2 rerolls, 3 hits. The Dragsta gets 2 saves, and so he draws 2 cards. 2 more crunches. The Squig Launcher gets 2 dice. 1 reroll, 1 hit, 1 save. Finally, the Stick Bomb. 3 dice, 3 hits, 1 save, 2 damage.
That's a lot of numbers. Maybe if you add them all, you might get something special. Anyways, he drew a crunch, and it's only going left, which means it suffers a damage, and the card can't choose a gubbins that makes it go forward.
So theoretically, it can actually go right.
Yeah, but only losers go right.
Wait, didn't you go right?
The Shokkjump fires into the buggy. Both weapons get a die, but the Shock Rifle gets a reroll. Shock Rifle gets 2 hits, so much for that reroll.
Oof, hate to say it, but the buggy saved both.
That's fine. It's still got the rocket launcher 2 hits.
4 saves.
Ladies and gentlemen, if you ever wanted to know which Crimson Moon member the Orc Gods favor, now you know.
The Squighog shoots the Shokkjump. 4 dice, 3 hits, and 2 saves.
The Shokkjump draws a driver wounded. The biker shoots the buggy and gets no hits.
Now what's an orc-only game without some hand-to-hand action? The Rukkatrukk attacks the biker. It has the Saw Blades rule, which allow it to reroll dice if it's attacking from the sides.
He got a total of 2 hits, and the biker blocks 1. He draws 1 card, that being, the gun is smashed! Since he already had a wound on him, that card's enough to not just smash the gun, but the entire bike.
What?
The Dragsta attacks the bike, and it gets 1 hit, which is then blocked.
The burnin' biker fails to put out the fire in time, and he burns to death.
The Dragsta team now has 3 cunning dice, and luckily they don't roll 3 misses. Starting with the Dragsta itself, it retreats out of combat.
What a wuss. Just for that, the Rukkatrukk is gonna ram into its rear. Before he does, though, he unfortunately rotates 45 degrees to the right, thanks to that busted tire. Oh, and of course he fails his driving tests, right at the big moment, too. Thought that 45-degree turn was impressive? Check out this 180 turn.
That's actually more of a 195, but whatever.
The last warbiker moves, and he passes his test. Onto shooting, the Rukkatrukk puts 3 dice into the Squig Launcher and 2 into the shotgun.
2 dice? No need for those rerolls. The Shokkjump doesn't save. He only has 2 wounds, he draws 4 cards, and gets 3 crunches. Does he explode? Sadly, no.
The warbiker takes a first turn, and he moves 3 times, and he passes his driving test, but who cares? The Rukkatrukk rolls for its tires and turns right towards the bike. They both got one hit, and they both got crunch, meaning the bike is destroyed.
And with that, the Rukkatrukk won the scrap. Thank you all for watching our Speedfreaks Battle Report. If you want to see more of this game, please like the video and subscribe. We also have merch, the link in the description if I don't forget to put it in. Thank you once again, and remember to always paint your walls crimson.